Today marks a moment where symbolism meets real geopolitical pressure. The International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people has returned at a time when the situation on the ground in Gaza remains one of the most volatile flashpoints in global politics. But this year, the tone is sharper. Statements made inside the United Nations are not just ceremonial. They reflect rising divisions between global powers, shifting alliances in the Middle East and increasing pressure on the United States and Israel as the cost of maintaining the current trajectory becomes heavier politically, militarily, and diplomatically. What we are seeing now is not just another diplomatic event. It's a strategic moment where multiple states are attempting to reset the frame of the conflict, pushing it from a strictly regional dispute into a matter of global strategic stability. And this is happening because the war in Gaza has evolved far beyond the Gaza Strip. It has become a catalyst reshaping relations between the West and the global South, between Washington and its Arab partners, and even inside Europe, where divisions over the conflict are expanding. Behind the formal statements about dignity and justice for Palestinians lies a deeper geopolitical struggle. Several countries use today to openly challenge the legitimacy of the current balance of power in the region. Many governments are now framing the Israeli-Palestinian conflict as a test of the international system's credibility, whether the rules apply equally or only when they benefit major players. This framing is dangerous for Washington because it gives rival powers, especially China and Russia, an opportunity to position themselves as defenders of international fairness, even if their motivations are strategic rather than moral. On the military front, the timing of this symbolic day intersects with a growing concern about the sustainability of the conflict. Despite Israel's military capabilities, its operational tempo in Gaza has exposed vulnerabilities. The extended urban warfare has strained resources, forced continuous reserve mobilizations, and created fractures inside the Israeli political and military establishment. And while Israel remains a dominant military actor in the region, its long-term stability is increasingly tied to US support, financially, diplomatically, and in terms of weapons supply. At the same time, Palestinian factions are not acting alone. Multiple regional actors, particularly Iran and its network of allied groups, are calibrating their responses carefully. Their strategy is slow, steady pressure, stretching Israel's defenses, testing the limits of US military commitment, and gradually shifting the perception that Israel can maintain unilateral military dominance indefinitely. The spillover into Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, and the Red Sea continues to shape Israel's strategic calculations more than many expect. Inside the United States, support for Israel, traditionally consistent, is now facing unprecedented political divisions. Several members of Congress and societal groups have used today's solidarity message to push for limitations on weapons transfers, insisting that US pressure is the only path to de-escalation. This narrative, whether Washington admits it or not, affects Israel's operational freedom. Any reduction in American support, military, diplomatic, or financial, has immediate strategic consequences. Meanwhile, Arab states are leveraging this global moment to reassert their regional weight. Countries that once maintained quiet or cautious diplomacy are now publicly linking normalization agreements with Israel to clear commitments on Palestinian rights. Even US-aligned states in the Gulf are recalibrating their positions, understanding that public opinion in the Arab world is overwhelmingly supportive of the Palestinian cause. This matters because any major realignment, especially if Saudi Arabia chooses to condition future cooperation with Washington, could reshape the entire Middle Eastern security architecture. Globally, today's solidarity message also plays into the narrative of rising multipolarity. China has been gradually inserting itself into Middle Eastern diplomacy, portraying itself as a stabilizing power. Russia, despite its own military engagements elsewhere, continues to use the Palestinian issue to challenge US influence in the region and expand its soft power among Arab and African states. Neither Beijing nor Moscow is acting purely out of sympathy. They're refilling a vacuum created by Washington's declining credibility in certain parts of the world. Economically, the conflict is beginning to influence energy diplomacy. Several oil-producing nations have signaled that regional stability, including ending the crisis in Gaza, is essential for global economic security. While no state wants to weaponize oil in the current fragile economic climate, the political messaging is unmistakable. If the conflict expands or regional tensions escalate, energy markets will reflect it immediately. Within Europe, public mobilization has reached levels not seen in decades. Governments that traditionally aligned with the US position are now facing heavy internal pressure to reevaluate arms deals, diplomatic support, and strategic cooperation with Israel. This internal EU division weakens Western cohesion and amplifies the sense that the global narrative is shifting away from unconditional support for Israel. Today's solidarity message also touches on a long-term strategic question, the future of the two-state solution. While many leaders continue to invoke it, the reality on the ground makes this option increasingly difficult. Fragmented territories, changing demographics, deeply entrenched political positions, and ongoing military realities make a traditional negotiated settlement extremely unlikely without dramatic international intervention, which no major power is currently willing to commit to. Yet despite all these obstacles, the international momentum triggered today serves as a reminder that the conflict remains at the heart of Middle Eastern geopolitics. It is a conflict that continues to shape alliances, fuel rivalries, and influence the global power balance. The statements made today, though symbolic, give insight into how states are positioning themselves for the next stage, a period where diplomacy, military pressure, and global narratives will collide. For Israel, the challenge is strategic: how to maintain security dominance while facing growing international scrutiny and potential erosion of unconditional Western support. For the Palestinians, the challenge is political, transforming global sympathy into diplomatic leverage and internal unity. For the United States, the challenge is geopolitical, balancing its strategic partnership with Israel while preventing its global credibility from eroding further. And for the rest of the world, the conflict remains a mirror, reflecting the shifting dynamics of power, influence, and the struggle over who gets to define the rules of the international system.